G'day and welcome to episode 51 of Kingdom Business TV. What are we doing here? Going live twice a week, talking all things kingdom business, using our businesses to become both profitable and influential. All right, and doing our bit, using our gifts and our talents to help advance the kingdom of God. So how does the show work? Well, it's a call-in show. You, my dear friend, can have your business questions answered. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about ironing out the highs and lows in your cash flow, getting rid of those peaks and troughs, and 4 things we can quickly go and do to help. But having said that, I will answer any of your questions. They could be around sales, they could be around marketing, Bible, tithing, money, wives, children's, husbands, homes, investments. We'll even talk about Bitcoin if you would like to hear my very, very passionate opinion on the Bitcoin. All right, so that's it. If you want to have a question for the show, just simply put your comments in the, your phone number in the comments below, or send a message to Business Greenhouse page with your phone number. One of my team will call you, put you through to me, and you and I can have a chat. It'll be a delight to help you with something in your business. Just back from Sydney, went down to the Kingdom Advances Conference Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, which was really good. And if I met you there, put a comment in below. I want to kind of keep a loop going with you guys that I met there. Spoke 5 times over the 2 days, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I got to meet some of my contemporaries who I haven't actually met, so that was really cool. And I got to be part of some guy called Shane Deegan's massive vision of filling a stadium for evangelism. So that was super cool, and I really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to Kingdom Advances 2020. I think they'll end up building a great event for entrepreneurs. So you should make sure you can make it. What do you need to know about? You need to know about the Kingdom Business Network. This is our chapters right across this country, 27 chapters right across this country that we created earlier this year for the sole purpose of training and bringing unity and getting you amongst other like-minded believers so that you can level up like iron sharpens iron, work with each other, network, do business, and get trained on strategies that matter. 27 chapters around the country, more inquiries coming in for chapters all the time, and it's super blessed to grow, and it would be great if you would join a chapter. Ultimately, this network right around Australia, and it'll go to New Zealand and all over the world in time. Ultimately, it's a group of people, but it's going to be so much more than that, because I kind of see top-down and bottom-up change. The local area will be able to be a good resource to their area. The Dubbo chapter, are busy helping out with things that matter in Dubbo and having influence. And so we're going to have that right around the country. But ultimately, it's the national network that will be the voice that we'll be able to have into the marketplace. And that's going to be super powerful. So find out more, go to kingdombusiness.com.au/network. kingdombusiness.com.au/network. Find a chapter, go join, and come and enter our world. It'll be awesome to have you. All right, so how do we iron out the highs and the lows of the cash flow? All right, something that is, interesting in business, something that, causes a lot of unnecessary stress when there are highs and lows in cash flow. I meet a lot of people in business, and when I look at their finances, they live on these highs and lows, but, their kind of profit over the year is 0 because they make lots, lose lots, make lots, lose lots, and then don't really get ahead. So I want to talk about some of that on today's show. All right, so what we can do if we're going to iron out the cash flow? Obviously, we're talking here about these big peaks and troughs. Big cash flow, and then it dries up, okay? It's all good when we're up here, but it's really challenging when we are down here. And so I've just got a couple of things that you and I can do to iron these out. Right, the first one we do is we change the delivery model. What do I mean by that? I mean thinking through your products and your services, shifting the way you deliver to better make use of, because your highs and lows could either be seasonal, okay, like you might have a massive Christmas and a massive June, or maybe Christmas is dead, but March is really high. You may have seasonal highs and lows, or you may just have operational highs and lows that come from not thinking through the business model. But if you've got seasonal highs and lows, then start to deliver some of your products at the lower season and some of your products at the higher season, and then you'll get the best of both worlds. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I was working with an air conditioning business, right? They sell, like install and service air conditioning. Now you can imagine summertime, so from about now to February, like they absolutely crushing it. Like they get all the inbound inquiries. They typically, this company would typically stop marketing and stop taking on customers 4 to 5 weeks out from Christmas because they're just absolutely booked, right? That's it, it's done. But what would happen is, they typically had a system whereby 1 year after your aircon was installed, they came back and did a service. And they would charge you for it, and they would do one a year. Maybe $150 or something like that. And they said to me, it's so frustrating that, during summer, when I could be doing a $15,000 install of a ducted unit, we have to go run around and do these $150 jobs. I said, it's easy. Let's punt all of the service work to the winter months, and let's not do any of those in the summer months and focus on where the money's at, because they had a business model that was, massive over Christmas and then died and then massive later on in the year. So I said, let's iron this bit out in here. Let's go and do, thousands of $180 services in here so that we were ironing out the bottom. So just a case of, I guess, thinking about the products and services and shifting when you deliver them so that you don't cannibalize your good times, and then you can take the work you didn't do, focus it and saturate it on the low times, and then you'll find that you're making more money in that time. The interesting thing about the aircon game, a second benefit to this was that they'll gear up with team members during summer to be able to deliver. They'll make a lot of money, and then they usually hang on to the team members in winter, even though they're not making any money, because they need them again for summer. This gave everybody the ability to work and earn and stay and not lose their job. So other benefits, all right, according to that. Number 2, create some other products or services. Okay, so if you've only got one, and you've got some highs and lows, maybe seasonal, then come up with some other products and services and sell them at the low times. Focus that energy on the low times. So just like before, we talked about the aircon company that took one of its products and put them to the low season. Maybe you need to diversify your income streams and come up with a product or come up with a service that you can sell whenever you hit the lows. You intentionally go out and market this product at your low points. And maybe it's a cheaper alternative, maybe it's whatever, maybe it's just a product that you don't necessarily make a huge amount of margin on, but you sell it to iron out the low points so you don't lose money. That would be a good thing. So maybe you need to come up with another product or another service, and you intentionally focus on that during that period of time to keep the wheels moving. Because, if you make lots of profit when it's high and lose that profit when it's low, you have a better business if you make the profit when it's high and just break even when it's low, because then you're not losing what you gained. You're at least breaking even and not losing would be a way better business model for you moving forward, all right? So maybe you need to come up with another product, another service, and diversify your income stream. Number 3, during that period of time when you hit the lows, okay, that's when I reckon you need to move your marketing model to more hunting, less farming. So typically, if they got highs and lows and they're seasonal, during the highs, you're getting a ton of inbound inquiry. People are finding you regardless, right? Your Google AdWords are working, your Facebook's working, your marketing, your networking, because it's the season people buy from you. So you're always going to have a huge amount of inbound inquiry during those periods of time. You're not going to have the big inbounds out of season, which means you need to intentionally get on the phone and drive the outbound. You need to be the hunter. You and your team need to be very, very, very focused on being the caveman that leaves the cave, finds a prospect, clubs it over the head, kills it, drags it back in so you guys can eat, right? That's the name of the game during the lows. And so it might just mean that, if you're finding that your seasons are high and low, you set a trigger that on the way back down, when this thing happens, we switch our marketing from farming to hunting. That could be as simple, by the way, as putting on a business development manager. You may find that if you had somebody that was totally focused on outbound, building relationships, marketing, hunting, you may find that you iron out that way. But you need to be far more transactional and far more intentional and far more, going for the customer during the dips in cash flow, because that's what evens it out. Because then you get more sales, then you don't get the highs and lows, you get highs and mids, and that's a good thing. And of course, point number 4 is literally you just need to get tough on debtors. Okay, you need to find all the people that owe you money and get really tough on them. Because think about it, if you can get your cash flow through your business quicker, then you won't have the troughs, right? Because more money is being flushed through your business sooner, which will iron that period out. Now, you could do that just by, holding on to your terms and being really diligent. When people don't pay you, get back on the phone. That's a good idea. Something else you may consider doing is changing your pricing structure during the lows. Charge more. Maybe you charge more, or maybe you charge less, and which means that you get the lion's share of the work and you don't get the margin, but you get the cash flow. Either of those would work. But maybe you need to change the way you charge. So, instead of taking a 20% deposit during the dip, you take 50s. The difference is more money coming through your business sooner to iron out the peaks and the troughs. Okay, so when we look at this, to me, it's not okay to have the big highs and lows. If you're operationally highs and lows, which means it's not a season, then the number one reason why that happens is because you're not always marketing. If you've got highs and lows, in your cash flow, one of the first questions you want to ask yourself is, am I marketing? Am I doing my 10 pillars? Do I have all the marketing activities happening regardless of whether I'm busy or not? If you're not intentionally building 10 pillars and you don't have leads flowing in every day, every week, every month, then you'll probably have highs and lows by default, because you're only left to take what comes in. Now, if you get a lot come in, you get really busy, then you don't do any marketing, so it means you've got a lag, right? So if you're really busy right now and you're not doing any marketing, then you'll completely drop the ball with any new initiatives because you're busy. You'll deliver on that work, and then you'll be hitting a low because there's no marketing. Then you'll do a whole bunch of marketing, all those leads will kick in, you'll convert some of those, and then you'll get really busy again, making lots of money. But because you weren't marketing, those leads will dry off, you'll hit a low, and that'll be the repeating process throughout the whole life. Like, that is way too stressful. First ask yourself that question, because if that's you just have a marketing issue. You need to have 10 pillars, 10 marketing strategies working concurrently. If you had that, and I've talked about that on other episodes, you literally would probably fix your operational highs and lows. But if you've got seasonal highs and lows, like the market just do things a certain way, then those 4 things it will probably never flatline, but it will stop the big dips, the stress, the laying off the team, the cutting backs, because it'll just even them out and life will be far, far, far sweeter. So thinking about all of that, all right, what do you need to do? Do you need to just come up with a brand new product and sell it only in the dip so that you have more sales? Do you need to shift your suite of products and services and push some to the dip and some to the highs? Maybe that's not a bad idea either. Do you need to just be way tough on the people that owe you money? Or do you need to shift the way you're marketing right now and stop relying on inbound inquiries? I mean, if you're in a dip right now, stop relying on inbound inquiries and just get on the phone, jump on your Facebook, start putting out videos, just start going hunting. Find a customer, kill it, drag it back in, cash flow, and just keep repeating that, okay? If you can learn the discipline of hunting, you can turn that tap on and off on demand. And by the way, life gets really good when you can turn something on and off. So have you got a question for me though? It's the question show. Just type it into the comments below. If you type your question in the comments below, I'm gonna see it here, and then I will answer that question for you. It could be about anything. I'm good with it being about anything. Now, I wonder, just while I'm on the topic of cash flow, I wonder if you even measure yours. Here's a question. I wonder, do you run some sort of P&L, some sort of reporting, and if you do run a P&L, how often do you look at it, right? You need to be making decisions on your business all the time, and you can't manage what you don't measure. So you really need to be, pulling up a profit and loss report at the end of every month and seeing what the trends are, up, down, and sideways, and making decisions based on it. If your entire business health is decided by cash at bank, then you're not being a great steward of the business that you have. So I wonder, maybe the step for you is even to start measuring your cash flow. If you use something like Xero, Insanely Affordable, or MyOb, or QBO, or any of those, you can chart your 12 months, sales, GP, and net profit, and you can see the trends. I mean, that would spit out a graph for you to show you. We live in an exciting time where that information is super valuable, super easy. But I wonder, are you even measuring your cash flow? Are you even looking at the trends? Because if your only motivation is cash at bank, you are looking at a lag indicator that can really trip you up, because you could just collect on one massive month and you think everything's going well because you've got money in the bank, but at the same time your conversion rate's down, your team aren't selling, your people are quitting. Cash at bank is not a great indicator of where you're going. So you need to do this, and then you need to work out how to get rid of the lows and how to at least even them out a long way, because that's how business gets good. Well, thanks, Amanda, for you've got the reminder here. You need to stop relying on mainly inbound. You know what's super funny for me is that that's how most businesses run. Most businesses run just by taking what comes in. Very few businesses actually, pull up a list and mine it, or start doing outbound calls or outbound emails or outbound. Like very, very, very few businesses actually pick a target they want to go for in revenue or sales and then go and hunt that down, right? The best businesses in the world obviously do. They have targets to go get them. But small business, for some reason, they think that if they just hang their shingle out the front of their shop, then everybody will find them. And it's so super risky. Obviously, you want the inbound, but you've got to go for outbound too. And sometimes, here's a beautiful thing, sometimes they both work concurrently. I talked about doing outbound when your inbound was drying up. But if you get the discipline of outbound, just do it forever, because then then your lows become higher, because at some point you'll get inbound and outbound working together, and then your business will explode. And you might be thinking, well, I can't handle that. That's why you employ more team members, so that you can handle that and do more and service more clients. Okay, so you've just got to get back on the marketing train, right? Because you could say, well, what I do is I employ people during this when the market's hot, and I let them go when it's not. It's so disruptive. If you're going backwards, then get rid of people, right? But it's got to be a better model to focus on sales than it is cutting things, and that's what we are talking about on here. All right, guys, what are your questions? They could be around family. They could be around the Kingdom Business Network. They could be around leasing, cars, employing. Who do you need to employ next? What questions have you got? And so forth. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to put those into the chat box or send us a message.
We've got a question.
Okay. And then I'm going to come back and completely sell you into KBN. What?
Comment from the profile.
Great.
From Darbeth.
Read it to me.
Are there alternatives to franchising that achieve the same result, that is licensing your business to others and getting ongoing income from others running your business?
All right, let me read it so that people can hear it. Thanks. All right, so here's the question. Are there alternatives to franchising that achieve the same result? That is licensing your business to others and getting ongoing income from others running your business. Yes is the short answer, because you said it, licensing. Basically, there's two ways to replicate. There's more than two ways to replicate, but the main two are obviously franchising and licensing. I'm a big fan of licensing over franchising because the franchising comes with the franchising code of conduct. The compliance is huge and it's a monster. Licensing doesn't have the same code and is usually cleaner. Having said that, you don't get the upside potentially of a franchise. And in fact, these days, most franchises have a franchise agreement and a licensing agreement tied into one. So we'd be talking about a licensing agreement. Typically, the way you get paid on a licensing agreement is you can get paid upfront as a one-off payment, so similar to franchising. Second, you pick up royalties usually. Okay, so you normally, in a licensing deal, you normally only make money when the licensee is successful. Let me try and put that in perspective. If you did a licensing deal over coffee, for example, then you would make your money as the licensee orders coffee from you, right? So you could have a flat fee license, you could do that, but most of it is through, when they're ordering from you, you make money. So if it costs you $5 to roast beans, you may sell them for $10 to one of your licensees, and that way you're picking up the difference between those two, right? That's typically the way it works. But having said that, you could have a license fee to use the trademarks that's flat fee, and then you pick up the royalty type income forever. The beauty of licensing is that you don't have to go through the due diligence phase with your product, the 14 days cooling off, the 7-day cooling. You don't have to go through much of that. You can kind of skip some of that, and it's faster. It's also going to mean you don't have to spend $35,000 on franchise documents. You probably have to spend $5,000 on a licensing document through a lawyer. So it's quicker to go to market. The downside, okay, so here's where you can get caught. If you go as a license when you are technically a franchise, you can get into a lot of trouble. So the Franchising Code of Conduct is a massive book. It cures insomnia, but it boils down to one sentence. Did you show them the how-to system of how to do their job? If you did that, it's probably more on a franchise side. If you didn't do that and you just licensed trademarks and products and services, it's probably a license. And if you went as a license when you should have been a franchise, some people have been caught doing that, and the penalties are so big that they had to shut up shop. So you want to be a little bit careful on how to do it. But there is also a third option, so franchise and licensing, and there's a straight out distribution agreement. You can have an agreement with somebody where you say, you sell my product, and we'll do this split on whatever the income is. I mean, you can boil it straight down to that. The downside of a distribution agreement is that they haven't bought into your vision. They're just, maybe they have, but they haven't paid up front necessarily a big lump sum to be part of it. So there's less hurt money. They're probably less, bought into what you're trying to do. But again, it's really quick because it's going to cost you a few grand for a lawyer to make that up, and then you go straight out in the market and do it. So I guess they're different levels. Licensing agreements can still be, 5 to 7 years. Franchising can be more. Distribution agreements are usually a year-by-year review, and so forth. What I like about a distribution agreement is you typically would have an exclusivity. If you're giving somebody an exclusive area, in return you can expect minimums, and that's a nice way to go. It's like somebody says to you, I want the whole of Queensland. Well, if they want exclusivity in an area, then it's expected that they have minimums they have to meet. So that's not a bad way to go either. But that's my 2 cents. At every opportunity I advise to stay away from franchising, because the franchising business, when you enter franchising, you so walk away from whatever product or service you are in right now. If you have a coffee shop and you want to go into franchising, you go into selling the dream and litigation. If you've got a shoe shop and you want to go into franchising, you go into selling and litigation. If you're in business coaching and you go into franchising, you go into selling and litigation. The business of franchising is not the product or service. You as the franchisor become a business that sells people into the business and litigates if they try and get out or they try and change the system, right? So it's a very different level of thinking. It's a very different business when you go into franchising. You are not in the business of the products and services that your franchisees sell. And that trips a lot of people up because they love their business and they love their products and customers, and they forget that when they go to franchising, that's not their business anymore. Their business is selling franchises, recruiting royalty payments, and breaching people when they step outside your ideal world. So very, very, very different business model in that respect. Well, gang, it looks like I get an early mark today, which is good because coming back from Sydney, I got a lot on. Hey, have you heard about the Kingdom Business Network? Just kidding, I told you before. But you should consider joining with chapters all the way from Cairns down the East Coast. We've got, what have we got? We've got Townsville, Mackay, Rocky, Brisbane, Gold Coast, we've got Sunshine Coast, we've got out west, Scenic Rim, we've got down the east coast, we've got 3 or maybe 4 in Sydney. We've got 2 sides of Melbourne, there's Adelaide. Oh man, there's Central New South Wales and a whole bunch of others. If you're around those areas, why don't you go to kingdombusiness.com.au/network, find a chapter near you and join an entire year's membership. 10 meetings, some local support, an online program, a business directory, the whole year, $49 once off each year. All right. Doing our bit to help you, doing our bit to help you win. Well, guys, that's it for episode 51 of the Kingdom Business TV. It has been a delight to talk to you about these things, and we'll be back on Thursday for episode 52. See ya.